I have been in the bullion industry for over half a decade, and I have heard of dozens upon dozens of stories of hardworking people getting scammed out of hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bullion industry. In this video, I'm going to explain specific ways and strategies that you can use to ensure that you do not get scammed and taken advantage of and lose thousands of dollars in an industry like gold and silver, precious metals, which should be based on high trust. I'm making this video because I don't want honest and hardworking people like you guys being taken advantage of, especially for large sums of money. If you don't know me, my name is Steph. I'm from alethos.com, and what we do is help people, businesses, and super funds invest over $50,000 into precious metals safely, securely, and more importantly, legally. I make these videos for everybody under the $50,000 threshold so that you're more knowledgeable about the industry and, more importantly, in relation to this video, so that you don't get scammed and lose your hard-earned money. How can you ensure that you don't get scammed by people who are trying to take advantage of you and steal your money? Well, the biggest way would be to know exactly who you're dealing with. Always buy, especially with such high value products like gold and silver, which can be easily faked, always buy from reputable dealers, people who know what the hell they're doing. Look for verified reviews. Ask for the metal to be tested on the spot. Make sure that their processes are extremely tight and there's no way that the metal in front of you that you perceive to be gold or silver is not something else or is not just plated. Please ensure that the businesses you decide to give your money, that you decide to do business with, are by the book and are reputable and have a market presence before you even think about sending money to their account or giving them cash. I have heard so many stories within this industry of people being scammed. There's been plenty of times when people would see a product online or purchase from another person or business that they thought were reputable that were actually not. They've handed or transferred the money, and I'm talking tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And lo and behold, they come into my office to get it checked or tested with our XRF, or they go and try and melt it down for jewelry, and they find and have a rude awakening and find out that the bullion that they have bought with their hard-earned money, thousands upon thousands of dollars, especially for stuff like gold, is not real. A very common fake that people do is actually coat a tungsten block in gold or plate it with gold because they have a similar density. They weigh relatively the same. So forgers and fakers will do is use a tungsten ingot or a tungsten bar and then coat it with gold to make it appear like gold when there's only trace amounts of gold, and then they will sell that onto the open market for a profit because tungsten is nowhere near as valuable as gold. So please, please, please make sure you're purchasing from a reputable dealer. I always recommend never buy from places like Facebook Marketplace, eBay. These are precious metals we're talking about. They're precious for a reason. People will scam you if they have a chance. So only purchase from reputable dealers that are specialized in selling the stuff. Another fantastic way you can ensure that the bullion you are purchasing is legitimate and real. By legitimate and real, I mean it is of the correct weight and it is of the correct purity, is to understand the product itself. I have heard of countless stories, and I've seen it firsthand, of people buying hundreds and thousands of dollars. I see it every day. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of this product, of gold and silver, without having a clue what it is, what it looks like, and what it should feel like, and how heavy it should be, how dense it should be. They have no idea. If I was going to put my life savings into something, I sure as shit would make sure and understand how it all worked and what it should look like. I don't want you guys to go in blind. There's no point. Don't get fooled by the fear of missing out. There's always going to be time, I can assure you. I don't want anybody to try and pressure you into purchasing something on a time constraint, especially when it's such a large transaction. You should be taking your time and vetting every step of the way. So understand the different sizes of the bars, how big and small they should be, what weight they should be, the color. Everything should be identified, and you should understand every portion and characteristic of the product you're buying. Another thing is the price. Bullion dealers or people that you buy precious metals from You should purchase them depending on the spot price. There is no outright price. If the price is too even, say for example, if it's 5,000 flat, they're scamming you, don't buy it. For the love of God, don't buy it. Prices, especially for investment grade bullion, for the clients that I deal with, high ticket clients who want to purchase hundreds and thousands of the stuff, we only deal with investment grade, which is as close to the spot price as possible. If you don't know what the spot price is, essentially what it is the current market price in Australian dollars. This is seen throughout the whole world, especially focused on US dollars. We convert US dollars into Australian dollars, and that's the spot price, which changes every second of the day. Prices on a bullion dealer's page should be changing every second or every minute, depending on how often their site refreshes. So do not purchase a product if the price is too even. If it looks too pretty, it's not based on spot price. They're selling it to you for an extremely high premium. Stay away. The second thing is based on the spot price as well. If any private seller is selling a coin, depending on the weight, say if it was an ounce of gold and the current market price is 5,000, if they're selling it for 4,500, does that make any sense? If the prices are too good to be true, they're too good to be true. Don't buy from them. I have a case, a personal anecdote, and something which I had seen for my own eyes was a client had wanted to buy a couple of, I think, 100 gram bars of gold, which right now is like 15 grand or something like that. 15 grand. Back then it was like 12 grand, something like that. And he wanted to buy them from us. He decided not to go with us because he told me, to my eyes, when I was working at the bullion dealer, I can get it online for $700 per unit cheaper. So $1,400 cheaper. And I looked him in the eyes and I told him that is a scam. Don't buy it because the current spot price is above that. Why would this guy on Facebook Marketplace be selling this product for less than what it's currently worth on the market, on the open market? He didn't listen. He bought it over $20,000 of his money. He went to the jeweler that I know on the strip and they looked at him and said the bars are fake. He lost over $20,000 because the deal was too good to be true. If the price is under the spot price, it is too good to be true immediately. Immediately. I want to educate people for free so that they can traverse this industry safer. I've had older gentlemen and ladies come in and show me, for example, eBay, right? Prices on eBay for this coin that we have in stock, that the bullion dealer I'm partnered with has in stock. And the same coin is selling for half price on eBay. And I've got to sit there and educate these people that no, the spot price right now is, for example, $50. Them selling it for 33 means it's a fake. Do not fall for it. It's not real silver that they're trying to sell you. It's fake. So please, 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 the two things that you need to do is vet the bar itself in person if you can. If you can't, deal with a reputable bullion dealer like the one I'm partnered with, which tests everything that comes in store. Understand the weight, the different weights of different products. Understand how it should look like, what the color should be, and how dense and heavy it should be. The second thing would be to look at the current market price or the spot price, which is found at alefeos.com. So if you head to alefeos.com completely for free, I've listed the spot price via a graph and I've made it very easy to understand and change between different time lengths for my Australian viewers in Australian dollars. That way you don't get confused and you can see the up-to-date current price right now to help you identify what the price should be if you purchase today, especially from reputable bullion dealers, so that you can figure out if people are charging you excessive fees or if the price is below that spot price, indicating that it's probably a scam and the deal is too good to be true because the price is too good to be true. I've already touched on this, but I thought it would be more important to mention it again and go into it with greater depth. When you're purchasing stuff like t-shirts and all that good stuff on Facebook Marketplace and eBay, it's fine. You don't necessarily see a lot of scams with other products like that. But when you're purchasing things like precious metals with high value and it's very compact and easy to fake, I would strongly recommend to only do your shopping and purchasing and investing in precious metals with reputable bullion dealers like the one that I'm partnered with. The reason being is because even if the pricing is correct, even if the photos look correct, if you go in after purchasing a coin and then get it tested, and the middle of that coin is tungsten, it's a fake coin. You've been scammed, you've lost thousands of dollars immediately. You can never tell for sure. And fakes are starting to look really good, especially the ones in the cases with high demand products like Pamp Sweets. I've got a rule, especially for beginners. Never, ever, ever buy from online marketplaces like Facebook, eBay, Gumtree. It will never be worth it because one time you will get caught out and it will cost you a crap load of money. If you're in the industry like I am, there are Facebook group chats and markets which are vetted and are reliable and trustworthy. However, you need to be in the know to get in. Even in those groups, there are still scams that slip through the cracks. So I just have an outright rule. And me personally, I typically never buy from marketplaces like that purely because the risk runs too high. And I just don't think it's worth the headache. I still have access to testers, which I can test products upon immediate delivery, and I still don't buy from there. So I would never recommend it from people who are especially new to the space and don't know what the hell they're looking at. There are other products that you've got to worry about when it comes to purchasing gold and silver and precious metals, especially products like digital or storage only schemes, where you don't actually see the physical product or go and store that product via custodial storage that we offer in partnership with the Melbourne Vault, where it's a separate legal entity that specializes in storage. If you're purchasing a product like storage only from the same entity where it's all done in-house, I would strongly recommend you don't do it. Firstly, because you don't know if they've actually got the gold. And secondly, you have to rely on them to stay in business for your gold to be worth as good as gold. I would always recommend to get the physical product. The reason we're buying precious metals is because it's a physical product, because it's disassociated from the current financial system and it's of itself, it's by itself, it's nobody else's liability. So why would you go and purchase something like a storage program, so in-house online storage, or something as terrible as digital gold? Please, if anybody sells you digital gold, I'm going to slap you if you ever buy it. Never buy digital gold. It's complete crap. Buy physical gold and silver and then go and store that physical gold and silver at a place like the Melbourne Vault or a vault that you trust that only specializes in storage. Never buy digital gold products. Never buy online storage products. Never. I can never drum on about this enough because I have seen so many people fall for it. And I don't want trustworthy people and trusting people who still have their faith in humanity. I don't want people like you guys to get taken advantage of and have your money stolen from you. It's worse in industries like crypto, but especially with the prices of gold and silver rocketing like they are, what we're starting to see in this industry is more and more scammers start to gravitate towards the industry purely because more eyeballs are on it. As gold and silver's prices are going to appreciate, which will continue to do year upon year for the foreseeable future, purely because governments will not stop printing money, more and more scammers will gravitate, and that will cause unbelievable amounts of people to fall for it. And I don't want you to be one of them. That's why I started this channel. That's why I started this business, to help people safely navigate the bullion industry and invest in this stuff legally and safely. Another great way to ensure that you're not getting scammed is to insist on documentation and written contracts or invoices. If there's no invoices attached, you should be wary, extremely wary. Another great way is if you're buying in person, especially in lower quantities, even in higher quantities, is to have every single bullion bar tested. Every single one. Now, to be brutally honest with you, I have such a great relationship with my clients. I rarely ever get tested. But occasionally, when a new customer comes in or a new client comes in, they request stuff to be tested. Perfectly fine. I completely understand. And I will gladly test for you because when I started buying over half a decade ago, I did the exact same thing. It is only normal. You're going to put so much money into this stuff, thousands upon thousands now with even a single ounce of gold. I completely understand if you would like your stuff to be tested, and I openly encourage it. Anybody dissuading you because it's a pain in the ass and it's annoying and it takes time, don't worry about it. Find another reputable bullion dealer like the one I'm partnered with. Another great way is to understand delivery terms. Gold and silver are a physical product. There are going to be delays because it takes time to dig the stuff out of the ground and refine it. But if there are excessive delays, and I mean extremely excessive delays, years, months, depends on the order size, it can be understandable, especially when there's a backlog, depending on the bullion dealer itself. But years, you should start to be worried. 1 to 3 months is perfectly fine to be waiting for especially excessively large deliveries with large quantities of gold or silver. But if you're finding it that it's taking ages, especially for small quantity orders, for your order to be fulfilled, I would start to get worried and I would start to be asking questions. To be brutally honest, we've seen a large backlog with the bullion dealer I'm partnered with purely because it's taking more time to source product because the demand is so high, especially for gold. That's what we've seen with the recent market dynamics. A lot of people think that the physical market is what influences the paper market. And by paper market, I mean the spot price or the market price. It's actually the other way around. Typically, what we see is when prices shoot up, demand in store rockets, the foot traffic rockets, the online orders rocket because people want to get in. Fair enough. So just understand that it is a physical product. It's not going to be instant. It can be for smaller orders, but it will take time to fulfill. If it is taking an excessive time to fulfill, then I would start to worry and I'd start to be asking questions. Lastly, another way that you can ensure that the bullion you're investing in is legitimate is to use transparent and traceable payment methods. If an online site for bullion is asking you to invest using this strange software or through an irreversible transaction, I would be worried. Bank transfers are predominantly the industry standard purely because products like PayPal, I'll give you some personal anecdotes. PayPal used to be used in this industry, but it no longer does purely because customers would pay via PayPal. 3 months later, they would do a chargeback and claim that the transaction was false and that they got hacked. PayPal will return the money to the customer. So it's after the products had been fulfilled. So essentially they got bullion for free. So unfortunately, because of some very bad behavior on customers' end, PayPal is no longer accepted, which is unfortunate. PayPal is a pain in the ass to use regardless. So I'm not too sad that it's gone. But bank transfer and cash tend to be the two main forms of payments within this industry, meaning that in order for us to write up invoices and lock in prices, we need a high amount of trust with our customers. Hence why we've got a market loss policy, because we can book prices and then we're exposed to that price if we sell it to a customer and they decide to walk away. But ensure that you use secure and traceable payment methods, because scammers will try and make it as difficult as possible for you to use a normal payment method. Also, another thing, I would strongly recommend, especially for beginners, to purchase their first piece of bullion, like gold or silver, within store, right? In person by a reputable bullion dealer that can be tested on the spot. So you're more aware of what the product looks like before you purchase in order to understand how the industry works. Do not buy, especially as a beginner who doesn't know what they're doing, do not purchase overseas. Do not wire your money overseas. We don't accept any purchases from overseas clients. I only deal with Australian clients purely because it's a hassle. And another thing is there's too many moving parts, especially with currency exposure and all that good stuff. I don't want anybody else to have access to the business, not yet, purely because there's too many moving parts. And I want to set an example where I only deal with Australian customers and focus on Australian customers so that they can get as best of an experience as possible to ensure they're not purchasing bullion from other people overseas that may be trying to scam them. So I hope that video was helpful. I hope it opened your eyes and gave you at least some sort of guidance on how to navigate this industry safely. I hope that you can make your first bullion purchase without any fear of being taken advantage of. If you would like to have any more assistance for anybody over the transaction size of 50 grand, I will work with you personally. I made this video for anybody under the 50 grand so that you're more likely to purchase bullion and sleep at night knowing damn well that the gold or silver you bought is indeed exactly what you thought it was. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week. I'll catch you later.